Gunmen raid 3 villages in northern Nigeria, leaving at least 46 people dead. The African Union summit closes with leaders calling for unity in tackling conflict, instability and water challenges. And coming up in your sport, Ethiopia's Tola Kitata takes the Seville men's marathon title in a tight finish. I'm Beatrice Marshall in Nairobi. Welcome to Africa Live. As it wraps up, this year's Munich Security Conference drew dozens of world leaders, sparking urgent calls to reset transatlantic ties amid unprecedented strains in transatlantic relations. German Chancellor Merz announced plans to explore a European nuclear deterrent with France, while U.S. Secretary of State Rubio reaffirmed America's security commitment but warned Europe to fix what he called policy mistakes. French President Macron stressed the need for a new holistic security framework. Natalie Carney has more from Munich.
We heard from the EU chief foreign policy chief, I should say, Kaja Kallas, and she was sort of quoting and criticizing that criticism of the European Union by U.S. politicians was inappropriate and lacked credibility. At the same time, she also emphasized that the speech by the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Saturday really did make it clear that America and Europe are intertwined. Now, this is very important, as this was quite a strong topic going in these 3 days of talks, these tensions on transatlantic relations. We also saw a session this morning about fragmentation to competitiveness, really about potentially more flexible structures for the European Union, which of course is bound by a lot of bureaucracy and regulation, and really sort of capitalizing on the strengths of each individual member. As the Estonian Prime Minister put it, different countries are good at different things. More are leaders in defense and others are more leaders in finance. So could we see some change here? Let's see. But I think it's also good to highlight the bilateral meeting that we saw late on Saturday between China's top diplomat Wang Yi and the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz on the sidelines of the conference, in which China Wang Yi did say that he wants to elevate the relationship with Germany to one of comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries. He wants to elevate that to a new level. He also said that Germany is a driving force for cooperation between China and the European Union, and that China also expects Germany to become a stabilizing anchor for strategic relations.
Over now to northern Nigeria, where police and eyewitnesses say armed men have killed 46 people during a raid on 3 villages in Niger State. The Saturday attack was targeted at Borgu local government area near the border with Benin Republic. The armed assailants arrived on motorbikes, firing indiscriminately before torching houses and shops. The attack continues a worrying wave in northern Nigeria that has left many dead and others missing after being abducted. There has been mounting criticism against the Nigerian government amid calls to contain the slide into anarchy. Tese Makende has more details from Jos.
The latest is that beyond the people who were killed, we understand a lot were also abducted, houses burnt down, and of course the police station within the area was also destroyed by these armed men. We understand they came on motorbikes. We understand they took away even children. And women. A lot of the people in that
Somalia and the Sahel region. CGTN's Daniel Arap-Moy reports.
It began with a call for unity and ends with a roadmap for survival. The 39th AU summit has officially wrapped. The headline action point, water, it's no longer just a technical issue, but a strategic one.
Water is more than a resource. It is a foundation of development, innovation, and stability.
But the hallway talk was dominated by the fires the AU has been struggling to put out. Brutal conflicts and instability in many parts of Africa. In Sudan, there was a desperate call for an immediate ceasefire as the country faces the world's largest displacement crisis. In the Sahel, heated debates raged on how to handle the wave of unconstitutional changes of government. And in the DRC, a push for more African-led mediation to end the cycle of violence in the East. On the global stage, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres threw his weight behind Africa's demand for representation in the permanent seat of the UN Security Council.
This is 2026, not 1946. Whatever decisions about Africa and the world are on the table, Africa must be at the table.
On climate change, leaders expressed growing concerns about the devastating impacts of droughts and severe floods.
This is unfolding at a time of wider global uncertainty, a time when geopolitical alignments are shifting and economic cooperation is increasingly organized around regional and strategic partnerships.
Now, finally, the Africa CDC and the AU Commission sent a clear message on health sovereignty. The goal is no longer just buying medicines, but making them. Now, African leaders are doubling down on the target to produce 60% of the continent's vaccine demand locally by 2040. Daniel Arab Moy, CGTN, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Meanwhile, the UN says Africa will remain a major priority as it navigates through the most significant budget cuts ever experienced. Secretary General Antonio Guterres said this year over $500 million has already been slashed from the UN budget, with unpaid dues from member states having risen to $1.59 trillion by the end of 2025. Guterres was speaking on the sidelines of the African Union summit.
We were very careful to spare the African continent because it's where the needs are bigger. The drama was the dramatic cuts that humanitarian aid provided by donors have suffered. The biggest cut was, of course, the United States cut when the USAID was extinguished. But there were several other countries, namely in Europe and in other parts of the world, that reduced their contributions to humanitarian aid. And this has created a dramatic situation in many of our operations. And you can't imagine, I was High Commissioner for Refugees, and I've worked for 10 years with the most vulnerable people in the world, and I know how needed it is to provide them effective assistance. And I've seen my colleagues that are today in the High Commissioner for Refugees having to work with half the resources I had at that time, and with more refugees than the ones that I had at that time. So this is something that is extremely, extremely painful for us, to see people suffering and not to have enough resources to respond to their most basic needs.
Experts in Nigeria are calling on the government to improve water supply across communities. They say inadequate water access is contributing to conflict between crop farmers and animal herders, leading to the loss of thousands of lives. Our correspondent Tese Makende reports.
Jatau Michael and his brothers conduct irrigation farming on the outskirts of Jos, using water from this stream for their Irish potato farm. He says they've had to contend with herders who bring their cattle to drink and sometimes stray into their farm, damaging crops.
When you try to talk to them, it became something else. Some of my brothers, precisely that day, faced this kind of challenges to the extent of some lost their life. I was in Bokos. The incident that happened 2023, 2024, I'm one of the eyewitnesses.
Herders say the search for water for their cattle has also affected their livelihoods and economic well-being.
We try our best to control our livestock when we take them to drink water. But sometimes it can be overwhelming, I acknowledge. But the annoying part is many crop farmers don't like seeing us take our cattle to rivers when they are a natural creation. So sometimes conflict erupts.
Nigeria has one of the world's worst rates of water access.
The United Nations says over 100 million people in the country lack access to water for their basic daily needs.
The situation gets worse during the dry season, which spans from November to March, where little rain falls and water sources dry up.
Crops have been destroyed, and animals too have been killed in retaliation. So the struggle for water is quite severe. One of the major impacts of climate change is the fact that water sources have shrunk, and some have even dried off completely. Are trying to compromise and share, because everybody deserves the right to exist. If they are able to acquire ranches of their own.
Has established River Basin Development Authorities to manage water resources.
The Sudanese army recently said it had broken a 2-year-long siege on the South Kordofan capital. The siege had triggered widespread hunger, leading to the displacement of over 140,000 people, according to the United Nations. CGTN's David Mbithi reports.
The decisive move by Sudan's army to break the siege by the Rapid Support Forces on the South Kordofan capital of Kadugli is a key milestone in the Sudan conflict. Key supply routes have now been reopened, allowing commercial convoys to reach the city, where famine conditions were reported last September. Trucks carrying food and medical supplies have now begun arriving in the city. Locals say the high prices of essential commodities are now finally coming down to more affordable levels.
We didn't eat onions for 3 years, but today we ate them for the first time and fried them in oil. Currently, a kilo costs £4,000, whereas it used to cost £120,000.
Prior to the crashing of the blockade, residents faced long queues for small amounts of food items as supplies dwindled. Traders say they're now witnessing a surge in market activity.
We'd like to share our joy with $20,000.
But the reopening of supply routes has brought little relief to the local health sector. The South Kordofan capital once had 4 functioning hospitals, but only one is currently operational. Patients inside the Kadugli Medical Center, which is being run by a lean staff of 1 doctor and 15 nurses, say access to medicine is extremely hard.
I have prescriptions and need medication, but it's unavailable. We desperately need this medicine. Our situation is extremely difficult and we cannot afford to buy medicine.
Authorities in South Kordofan say they are working to address these challenges, but acknowledge this will take some considerable time.
There is a severe shortage of hospitals, and we are trying to sort it out, but this alone cannot address this shortage, especially concerning life-saving medications, which are still unavailable.
The oil-rich Kordofan region became a flashpoint in Sudan's conflict after the RSF captured the North Darfur capital of El Fasher in October last year. Humanitarian agencies say the relief to Kadugli residents may be momentary if the lifting of the siege is not followed up by lasting peace. David Mbithi, CGTN.
The Black History Month, celebrated annually in February, marks its centenary this year. Launched in 1926 in the U.S., it originally sought to educate young African Americans about significant but often downplayed historical moments, including the slave trade and civil liberties struggles. Black History Month has now gained global significance. CGTN's Crystal Onkeo tells us about a commemoration held in Cote d'Ivoire.
This is the 7th edition of the Black History Month in Côte d'Ivoire. This year, the focus is on cinema's role in African narratives. Panel discussions, as well as screenings of films on traditional heritage and contemporary issues, are part of the activities being used to spark connections and critical conversations.
This year's theme is cinematic imperialism. Who has the right to talk about Africa? Who has the right to tell African stories? We want to take a step back, look back, take stock, see what hasn't worked, and make proposals. This is also a time when we call on all those who know our history to contribute to the project so that future generations can see the work that is being done. The impact of Ivorian Black History Month is significant. It brings people back to their roots so that they know where they came from.
Observation of the Black History Month here focuses on the lived experience of Africans. It aims to celebrate the diversity of Ivorian cultures and its histories.
If Africa remains a byproduct of colonization, it will be difficult for it to thrive. Ivorian's Black History Month reminds us where we come from and where we are going. This is truly very important to us. Our target audience is young people.
Participants are encouraged to blend cultural nuances with contemporary creative expressions to reconnect Ivorian and African youth with their past heritage. Taku Dasi, a film director, believes this is what it has taken to earn her special recognition.
I was motivated by the competition's theme because it encourages us to talk about our heritage and therefore about Africa. You know, with colonization and the arrival of religion, we experience discrimination against our religions, our traditions, and our spiritualities. That's what I tried to show in my film. I really wanted to highlight African spirituality, to show the need to identify our culture, to give it a name, and even to export it. Why not? We can't let others tell our story. It's up to us to value ourselves, to tell our own story.
The Ivorian Black History Month examines film not only as an artistic work, but also as a living archive, a collective memory, and an effective tool for preserving the African narrative sovereignty. Crystal Onkeo, CGTN.
Traditional Chinese performance arts are taking center stage in Tunisia and Morocco ahead of the Chinese New Year. As relations with China continue to grow across North Africa, largely due to tourism and cultural exchanges, the festive season has seen theaters and public venues transformed into vibrant showcases of centuries-old Chinese culture. CGTN's Adnan Chauchi has more.
Ahead of the upcoming Chinese New Year, the Year of the Horse, an art troupe from China delivered a performance at the prestigious City of Culture in Tunis. It drew large crowds and plenty of enthusiastic applause. Officials say the event highlights how cultural exchanges are becoming a central pillar in relations between China and the North African country.
A high-quality art troupe from China's Gansu province has come to Tunisia to present this wonderful performance. The aim is to strengthen cultural exchanges, enhance mutual understanding, and deepen friendship between the two sides.
I extend my greetings to the friendly Chinese people. Our friendship is long-standing and constantly renewed. We believe that culture is a bridge connecting nations, and today, this artistic performance beautifully embodied that idea.
The performance blended Chinese folk dance, classical music, opera and acrobatics with a special tribute to Tunisian music, underscoring the spirit of cultural dialogue.
It was an excellent performance, especially the tribute to Tunisian music, which the Chinese troupe performed in a remarkable way. We wish everyone a happy Chinese New Year.
Meanwhile, Chinese New Year celebrations are also unfolding in Morocco, where cultural events, exhibitions and national competitions are putting the spotlight on artistic exchanges between the two countries.
Through cameras, photographs and the written word, they told rich and vivid stories of China, breathing new life into traditional friendship between China and Morocco.
In Rabat, Chinese music and dance troupes performed before Moroccan audiences. Again, officials said it reinforced the power of people-to-people ties and the mutual appreciation between the two cultures.
It was a truly outstanding show. We saw a group of Chinese folk dancers along with classical Chinese music, which was very expressive and deeply moving.
From dragon dances to classical opera, these Spring Festival celebrations go beyond entertainment, serving as a living bridge between civilizations and reaffirming the role of culture in strengthening ties between China and North Africa. Abdel Shawishi, CGTN.
Well, let's now take a look at your sports news. Here's what's ahead. Ethiopia's Tola Kitata takes Seville men's marathon title in a tight finish.
How would you create your legend? On the fields, on the tracks, in the arenas of Africa. Were you born to be a player? Could this moment be yours? Sports Scene. Find your game.
We start with athletics, where Ethiopian Tola Shura Kitata has won the Seville Marathon in a photo finish against his compatriot Abderrahman Asrar Haidrin. The Ethiopian set the pace from the onset, which culminated in the tight finish. Kitata threw himself through the tape to finish first in 2 hours, 3 minutes and 59 seconds, same as his countrymen. The Ethiopian dominance was completed by Bikila Diene Hailu, who claimed the remaining podium spot 16 seconds behind the leading duo. In the women's race, Kenya's Beatrice Chepchirchir Cheserek finished second, trailing Finland's Aisa Vainio. Ethiopia's Mulla Tekle Gifu came in third. And the world cross champion Agnes Ngetich and Boston Marathon title holder John Korir delivered a Kenyan double victory at the 5th edition of the Sirikwa Classic in Eldoret, Western Kenya. This is the final stop of this season's World Athletics Cross Country Tour Gold. Our reporter Mohammed Abubakar has that story.
The 5th and final World Athletics Cross Country Tour Gold Label meeting of the season, Sirikwa Classic, has successfully concluded in Eldoret City, Western Kenya. Fresh from winning her senior women's 10-kilometer World Cross Country Championship title in Tallahassee, United States last month, Agnes Ngetich returned home to defend her Sirikwa title. And the favorite did not disappoint, crushing the field in 32 minutes and 28 seconds to hold on to her crown.
It was so amazing. The climate was tough. It's like last time, but then I loved the atmosphere. Imagine running at home, you hearing people cheering all over, Agnes, 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 keep pushing. It was so amazing, and I'm so happy.
The corresponding senior men's 10-kilometer showdown produced a huge upset. John Korir mowed down a rich field led by two-time defending champion Daniel Ebenyo to strike gold in 29 minutes and 44 seconds. Korir believes his Shok Sirikwa victory is a good workout as he prepares to defend his Boston Marathon title in April.
The race was good. It was very hard, but we managed. And this is my first cross country. I've seen that I'm good in cross country. I only came here to see how my shape is it, and I've seen it's good, so I'm good now.
Athletes from over 15 nations, including Uganda, Botswana, Turkey, Bahrain and South Africa, also took part in the Sirikwa meet.
It was hot, but I managed to finish, and then I have fun running with Kenyans. I had a lot of experience, so I enjoyed the whole of this race from start till finish.
With the 5th Sirikwa Classic now done and dusted, focus now shifts to the international spring road races and the start of the track and field season. Mohammed Abubakar, CGTN, Eldoret City, Kenya.
In cricket, Namibia have been eliminated from the T20 Men's Cricket World Cup after their third loss in Group A against the United States of America. Namibia were restricted to 168 for 6. Opener Lauren Steenkamp scored 58 off 39 balls, but the target proved too tough for the Eagles. The US won their final group game by 31 runs for a 2-2 record. Other results have to go their way if they are to progress to the Super 8. Elsewhere, Aiden Makram scored a blistering unbeaten 86 as South Africa raced to a 7-wicket win over New Zealand to maintain their 100% record at the T20 World Cup. The Proteas surged to 83 for 1 after their power play. Their captain, assisted by Quinton de Kock and Ryan Nicholson, brutally took down the Black Caps bowlers. Makram brought up his half-century from 19 balls, the joint fastest of the tournament. With a straight 6 and with just 7 overs of the chase gone, New Zealand managed to slow their run rate, but it was much too late. South Africa got over the line with 17 deliveries to spare. Victory puts the Proteas on the brink of qualification for the Super 8s. New Zealand are still highly likely to join them if they beat Canada in their final Group D game. Elvin Evans and co-driver Scott Martin secured victory at Rally, Sweden on Sunday, leading home a remarkable Toyota Gazoo Racing 1-2-3-4 finish and moving to the top of the WRC standings. Evans began the final leg with a 13.3-second advantage and controlled proceedings to seal his third Sweden win by 14.3 seconds over teammate Takamoto Katsuta. Sami Pejari completed the all-Toyota podium, securing his second career top 3 finish ahead of Oliver Solberg. The result saw Toyota become the first manufacturer since Citroën in 2010 to claim back-to-back podium lockouts in the WRC. Following that victory, Evans expressed his joy at topping the standings as well as his team's dominance over the weekend.
Yeah, obviously pretty chuffed and relieved now. We weren't sure how the power stage was going to look. Of course, difficult with all the time management and so much gravel, but yeah, happy with the time in the end, and of course happy with this result. So big thanks to the team. They've done an incredible job once again, and again to be on a Toyota 1-2-3-4 feels amazing.
And we leave it there on this edition of Africa Live. Remember, you can send your feedback to the contact on the screen and follow us on our digital media platform. Thank you for watching. I'm Beatrice Marshall in Nairobi. From me and the team here on Africa Live, bye-bye and take care.